Welcome to the Live Bright Show, the pod for badass service-based entrepreneurs who are creating businesses and lives that are fun, successful, and free. And now your host, seven-figure business owner, coach, and founder of the Live Bright movement, here to help you own your potential, Molly Moran.
Welcome to the Live Bright Show. Today we have got Melody Edwards. Melody is the current owner of the home service VA company. She owned and sold Renew window cleaning, Renew holiday lights, and even a coffee shop in Western Massachusetts. She's the co-founder of Heads Up, an organization that's committed to educating, empowering, liberating, and protecting the mental health of residents in her community. She's a speaker, educator, and host of the Business Misfits Podcast. And she's got a whole bunch of hobbies. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's a badass business owner, and she's living life on her terms. And we are so excited to have her on the show today. Welcome to the show, Melody.
Thank you so much. Can you follow me around and just say that at me all the time?
I would love to. Yeah, I absolutely can. You are such a freaking badass. Own it, girl. I love
Thank
it.
you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I love that. Sorry, go ahead. I just interrupted you.
No, I was just going to say, I appreciate that that's what people see in me as a woman and a human. That's not always what I see in myself. So,
yeah, sometimes it's nice to have other people kind of reflect back because we forget just how awesome we are. So if I can remind you of that for an hour today, then I'm happy to, and in the future. So, and I love the name of your podcast that you're launching called the Business Misfits. Where does that come from?
well, it's a hard thing to say, by the way, when you say it fast.
Did you hear me stutter?
I stutter. So now I just call people BizFits. But it came from me being in the home service industry for the last 30 years. I started in window cleaning, of all things, and really never feeling like I truly fit in, and also really wanting to fit in. So I was like, guys, let me be a part of the club. And also, realizing recently that my whole personal development journey has been led by men in home service. So there's been this thing inside of me that has kind of fought against it while also wanting to do the thing and prove that I can do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've done a lot of work to even be able to say that out loud. It took a long time to figure that out. And I was talking to one of my coaches a couple of years ago and just saying, really being frustrated and saying, I just don't fit in. I feel like a business misfit. And he's like, yeah, you are. And then it kind of was like, yeah, I am. And I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. And so it kind of gave me freedom. And I think when you hear business misfit, if you're in business, if you're an entrepreneur, there's people who are always going to relate to that. And so I was like, that's a good name for a podcast.
It is. And, I so identify with what you're saying about not fitting in. And I spent, I would say, probably the first 10 years being in business, networking locally and really wonderful people around me, but it never resonated. I look at even how I dressed then versus how I dress now, how I presented then versus how I present now. And I'm like, it never completely worked. And I didn't really feel like I was fully in my skin. And I think that's really not atypical, especially for women in male-dominated
Yes.
in industries or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because for the first 20 something years of my business journey, I was serving women, because when you think of who are the people who make the household spending decisions for residential, it's like 80 to 85% female or women. And so I was really good at that. I'm really good I feel like I'm an expert at that. I would talk to them. I would ask, I was willing to deep dive with my clients and find out what do they really want? What don't they want? How can we be better all the time? And what I didn't realize is when I started home service VA, that I was flipping and really I'm serving a lot of men. Because that's the majority of where I started in home service. Now I'm working with a lot more people in the cleaning industry, but it's weird how disconnected it is. That was never an industry I was really involved in before this. And so it's been kind of interesting journey. I've been working really hard, and also it's hard to be seen sometimes when you're not just projecting very masculine confidence, and I don't want to do that. So learning who I want to serve has been a journey for me, but I'm much clearer on that. And please know, I have nothing against my guys. I
No.
I get along with like everybody. And I really love the guys in the industry. And also I feel like, you connect with people who are like you most easily. And so I want to find my business misfits, basically.
I love that. And like I said, I was surrounded by wonderful people, and some of them I connect with, whatever, but it's great to connect with like your people. And
Yeah.
by the way, Mel and I were talking before this, and this is the first time we've actually been face to face and had a conversation, but we've been like knowing each other and messaging and for probably at least a year or so. And Mel, I think you might be one of my people, so we're gonna have to continue this conversation. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, for sure. So I want to ask you, you've been in business for a long time. You said about 30 years or
I've
so?
been in the industry probably 30 years, because I'm 48 and I started when I was 17. So 31
Okay.
years, okay. But I started having a business about 25 years ago, 24, when I bought the company that I worked for.
So I'd love to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
What made you decide to take the sort of entrepreneurial plunge from employee to owner? That's a big leap that most of the population doesn't take, right?
True, but I would say I've always been an entrepreneur. I didn't recognize it. Like I thought to be a business owner, you had to go to business school. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so I started helping neighbors when I was 8 or 9, just unloading their dishwasher for $1 or dusting for $1. Like I just had a little cleaning business, even though I was probably horrible at it, but I liked that they let me do that.
Right.
I kept starting. I love starting businesses. I've always loved starting them. So even when I was little, I would pretend to start a business and then never have the business. I started an import-export company when I was 19 or 18, which sounds really, really cool, except it really was just me going to Morocco and then taking back a whole bunch of stuff and trying to sell it.
That's how it starts. That's cool.
Yeah, but again, I like starting things that didn't
Okay.
really go anywhere. And then
or import export could be like,
it could be
cocaine.
meant.
So,
It could,
right. So,
yes.
what I.
But we're going to say it's Moroccan household items that are cool.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, totally.
And then I was doing window cleaning. Like I got into window cleaning because a family friend did it. This is not something women tend to do because it is an intimidating business. Like you have to climb ladders and go on roofs and do all sorts of weird things. But my family friend was just like, I need help, come work for me. I really hated it so much because it's dirt. It felt dirty. And I've always dreamed of being in an office because I don't know why, but that was something in my head that like sophisticated people would do. They'd work in an office.
Okay.
And so I kept going and coming back to windows. And eventually I went to become an esthetician, as one does, to
Oh,
do
wow.
skincare.
That makes total sense.
Right. And
I see the
then,
leap. I see the, yeah.
yeah, it's just, I think that's a common thing with entrepreneurs is we go all over the place. So that led me though to my first corporate and my last corporate job, which was I got a job at a skincare company, Dr. Hauschka, as their gift coordinator, which means I would send famous people gifts. That is not a full-time job, but I worked myself out of a job because I would always ask for like, do you guys need any help with anything? I didn't know the game of corporate. And so I got laid off after 3 months. And that's exactly when my old boss said, I'm going to sell the company. It's been 20 years for me. Do you want in? And I kind of felt like I was scared. I was really scared, but I also knew that I understood how to do that job. So I wasn't thinking of buying a business. I was thinking I was buying a like a job essentially
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
time. And what I really bought was a van, thousands of paper receipts, and some paper calendars. So that was the business. Eventually I read the E-Myth and I was like, this is amazing. I get it now. But the E-Myth doesn't tell you how to do that thing.
How to actually do it. Yeah.
No. And so, I struggled a lot. I eventually sold that company. And went into a deep midlife crisis when I realized that I had been a workaholic my whole life. And suddenly I didn't have that work. And so who am I?
Right.
But then luckily, a year and a half later, I had to repossess that business, like old school, big guys repossessing, because I had owner financed it for the buyer.
Okay.
He stopped paying and he was like, I'm not going to pay you anymore and I'm keeping the business. And so he was sleazy. Sleazy people often think that good people don't know how to think sleazy, when I just would say that we could think sleazy, we choose not to. And
Mhm.
so I figured out how to get that company back. I thought I was going to resell it right away. I didn't. So that's how Renew window cleaning started. Because before that, I had A1 window cleaning.
Okay.
And then I bought my friend's holiday lights company and fell in love with that, and sold the window cleaning company to employees and was like, this is my life now. I know this has been a long journey, but holiday lights is only like 3 months a year. So again, I now call it like a quarterly midlife crisis. And that's when I started home service VA, mostly because my coach at the time said, you cannot do this for free anymore. I'm a giver. I love giving a
Mhm.
lot. And I was
Mhm.
helping people get virtual assistants. And so that's kind of how the business started at that point. And we've been doing it about 3.5 years now, I think. I work with
Wow.
hundreds of home service clients,
How
and
many?
hundreds, yeah.
Hundreds. Wow, that's amazing.
Well, we
That's
started as
awesome.
a recruiter and we only moved
Okay.
to an agency this year
Okay.
after a lot of recruiting. Yes.
Okay. Well, hang on. I got to go back because you just packed in like 20
I
years
know.
of and like so many stories. So I want to
I,
know, how did you repo your window? Like you said something about, did you say burly men or did I just imagine that?
my
Like,
husband is one of those burly men, and then
okay.
a big guy I know from New York came down. So it took a lot of work. I don't think he knows how I did it, to be honest, but I basically first figured out a back door to get into the website, the email. He had stopped paying a phone bill, so I figured out a way to get the phone number back. I had a key to the van, to the truck. So, and it was all under an S corporation that had been an LLC. I don't think I would have been able to do this, but because they rented an office through the S Corp. So because I was still like on that, basically I made sure everything was legal with my lawyer. And
Yep.
then after I had repossessed everything and hid it at my cousin's house, I went to the police station with my 2-inch binder full of evidence. And they said, oh, this is what do they usually say? It's like a problem between, it's not a legal problem.
Something dispute or
It's like a
like a,
personal dispute kind of thing. You have to go
right,
to court
right,
for that.
right.
It was like probably the hardest year of emotionally of my life because he did not make it easy. He tried to get the police to charge me with breaking and entering. That was dropped. But meanwhile, he was able to tell a story. And the thing that I learned from that shocked me. First of all, I learned I can pretty much figure things out if I need to. I will always figure it out. But the second thing I learned is I had always treated all my clients like they were family. If I had an event coming up for my family and a client called and was like, oh my gosh, my windows need to be cleaned. And, I'd be like, family, I'm so sorry. This is a window emergency. This is back in the day and it's embarrassing now. But I think a lot of us do that when we really put our soul into the work we do. And what I learned is these people did not see me the same way. Some of them stayed with him. He started another company, and some of those, like people who had worked with me 20 years almost, or 15, 20 years, stayed with him because they didn't want the drama, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So it really taught me that I needed to step back and have a buffer between me and clients.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that lesson. And also, it was needed.
Yeah, I bet that was really hard and disappointing and maybe
Very.
like a little heartbreaking. And like, yeah, I can
Oh,
see.
it broke my
Yeah.
heart, and my poor husband had to deal with all the tears. So it was not fun. But also, I really am a big believer in people. I always say I'm an optimist with a bad memory. So
Mm.
I approach life from a point of thinking things are going to be good, trusting people. You kind of have
Mhm.
to be an entrepreneur. But also, when I say I have a bad memory, it's not a bad memory for events. I mean, I do have a bad memory, but it's more about the feeling. Like, I think most normal humans feel that feeling they felt when something bad happened to them. Like, I think of my husband, I'll throw him under the bus. Like, if somebody does something to him, he's not going to have that happen again because he feels something when he thinks about that. I
Right.
don't, I think of it more from like this thing happened. It's almost like I detach myself from that feeling. And that's a good thing and also not a good thing. It allows me to continue moving forward in my business journeys. I wouldn't be able to do that otherwise.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying, because I think that there's a place for remembering and, whatever, but also for some of us, and I don't know if this is the case for you, but like, it's also just like too painful to keep that present,
Yeah.
I don't know. So my wife will say to me, like, you know, especially when I get into certain personnel issues, which I do sometimes. And
Same.
I start talking and she'll listen. And then she's like, so should I start recording you yet? Like, because it's the same. Unfortunately, no two people are the same. The circumstances
No.
are not the same, but there's like a twist. And she's like, come on, like, this. So I totally get what you're saying. Because I just want to believe
Yeah.
in the best and I want to believe we can
Yes.
work it out. And so,
Yeah.
yeah. I get that. So you repoed that business, you had it for a while, and then do you still have your Christmas lights or your holiday lights business?
No. So I repoed the window cleaning, like I said, no, I sold the second window cleaning in 2020. The
Okay.
the holiday lights I had for 3 seasons, and I sold it last year because it really is a business unlike any I've ever had. It's very fast and you have to be super in it. And even though I had an assistant running the office and I had a good team of people, it still required too much from me because this is also the travel season for me, like for home service VA. And then like I said before to you, I had a concussion last year for 2 months, meaning like I couldn't work for 2 months. I still have concussion symptoms after all this time. But that's the thing that really showed me like I have to just have one thing right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Gotcha. Can you share any sort of advice about selling businesses, since you've now sold two? And then you also had a coffee shop that I know you exited. I don't know if that was like a sell or not, but
yeah.
any advice on selling?
Well, here's what I'll say. I live in the smallest town, I feel like in Massachusetts, and we do not have a central gathering place. And I used to live near an inn by my house, and they have a place. So I kept telling the guy who owned it, like, you need to make a coffee shop. Make a coffee shop. The town needs it. People will show up. And so eventually he offered to do it with me, and we did. And it still exists under new ownership, which is kind of cool. But I ended up exiting partially because partnerships are hard, and also because that's when I had to repossess my business. I asked myself at that time, do I really need to repossess? And I know myself, I would never be able to let go of it if I didn't. I give people a lot
Ah,
of room, and
yeah,
then I'm like, justice has to happen. And I mean like legal justice, or I'm not talking about like some like illegal justice, but
no, just
like
burly men and breaking and
regular,
entering, and
yeah,
yeah, no,
uh,
I love it.
with the law
With
on
the
our
law,
side.
with the
Yes,
law. I know. It's good. It's
it
good.
is a great
Yeah.
story. And I honestly, I can't believe that I pulled it off. It happened on New Year's Day, 2015. And he had just apparently left for Florida. I didn't know. I just saw that cars left the place. We had planned it. We went right in, got all the stuff that we could, didn't break in anywhere that we weren't supposed to. And the door was open to the garage that he had a lot of things stored in. So it was like, it just all went way more smooth than I thought it would have gone. But I was at the police station when he called, when he found out, because I had gone back to give them to say,
Right.
hey, this thing happened. It is not a burglary or something.
Right.
And so he was not a happy person when he called the police station, but it was also a little bit, I'm glad I was there, is what I would say. So,
Yeah. And were you, I would think, because it's not like this is something like you had done before. Like, did you have any fear for your safety or any of that during
n-
any of
uh,
this?
yeah, not beforehand, because when I'm on a mission, I just go deep into the mission, right? Afterwards, because of the way he acted, I did have fear and I didn't feel safe. And he just made it very, very difficult. And it's hard too. He was a former employee of mine from well before. And to be honest, the mistake I made was letting him back in. He seemed like he had changed. He did it for a long time. And people like that, they can't change. Even if they try, when they get something, it's almost like the bad parts of them come back out. So it really was another lesson. Everything's a lesson. Um,
Everything is a lesson.
The other times I've sold things, I really try to sell. When I make a decision to sell, um, for me, it's like I'm done. I've decided, made the decision. I know what I'm kind of doing next. And so the easiest way to sell is to employees. And the reason I always want to sell to employees is not because I make the most money. I'm not very money motivated. So maybe don't listen to me, people, if you're trying to make a lot of money in your business. I do know how to make money selling now, but when I've done it in the past, the way that I've done it is I want to gift people the gift that I got. And so I would never have been able to afford to buy the window cleaning company if my boss hadn't financed it for me. And so he did a really nice thing for me and it worked out for both of us. And so I've always approached it since then as like almost like I owe the universe something for this.
It's like a pay it forward kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I've paid it forward enough now because I've done it 2 or 3 times. The holiday lights company I sold to a family friend who I've known forever and he wanted to get into business. So I'm really good at systemizing a business and making it ready for somebody to take over. It doesn't mean they're going to follow the systems that you
Right.
put forth, but I think everybody has to learn the hard way in entrepreneurship sometimes. Unless you're buying a
Yeah.
franchise, maybe you don't have to learn the hard way there. But also, yes, I've seen some franchises.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing about being an entrepreneur and starting a business is that you often want to make your own stamp or whatever it is. And I remember when I started my cleaning company, of course, I researched and there are
Yeah.
resources out there. And I was like, okay, well, how are we different? And I really wanted to be like different. And after a while, I was like, okay, well, different is good to a certain extent. But then some of the difference was not working. And I needed to just kind of like get in line with how other successful cleaning companies were doing. And it made a huge difference for me. That's
Same.
for sure. Yeah. So it was interesting because I've always had systems and processes, but I was like creating them. And then it's like, but there are all these other people that have really good ones out there already
Yeah.
created too. So anyway, it doesn't mean you're going to follow it. I think that's definitely part of being an entrepreneur and especially early entrepreneurship. Like,
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think that was really hard for me though, because I spent a lot of time making simple systems. That's the key, is not making complicated ones, but making
right.
simple systems so that it can work easy. And so being able to let go after and let people do their own thing, that is hard for me. Not the selling part, but not seeing people succeed as quickly as they could. And
Right.
I've just kind of had to learn to be okay with that.
Well, and so let's talk about the business you have now. I mean, I'm sure you have
Yeah.
lots of simple systems and that's part of delegating too, right? Is
Yeah.
getting comfortable that maybe not everything's going to be followed exactly how you want. How do you navigate that now?
So it's funny because that's literally what I teach people. And also, I think we can teach people things and still struggle with them, right?
Mm.
The reason why we started as a recruiting company and not just as an agency is I wisely thought, well, once we start as an agency, I'll never be able to stop. And at least if we start as a recruiter, I can stop, I can fix things. And then that kept going on and on. There's not a lot of people out there who are recruiting for a set fee, virtual assistants. But then what I found is I had to teach people how systems work and how relationships work and how to manage without micromanaging. And pretty soon we were doing everything that an agency would do and beyond. And so I think for us, starting an agency this year, it's almost like we've had to develop new systems because the old ones don't work completely for us. That's been something like my whole point of waiting so long. Okay, I waited so long because it felt uncomfortable to make that shift. But I also felt like, well, then once I get the systems ready, then we can scale. Then it's good to go. And that's not how it worked. There's new systems that need to come in. And there's a lot of I thought would work that do work. And then there's others that don't work. So I always feel like it's almost like we restarted again as a startup, even though we know how to do the thing we do and we're good at supporting people, there's still systems that have to be in place for that. And we mess up sometimes, as we all do.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I mean, I know you switched your model from recruiting to agency, but also I think that there is this myth for lack of a better word, out there that once you have the system, it's like set it and forget it, which is like, to me, I mean, what works at one level of business does not work at the next level or the next level. And so I really think of business, and this is what keeps me interested in being a business owner, is it's constant iteration. Okay, that just broke. And is that because now we have 30 employees, and what works at 30 employees did not work at 20 employees or whatever, things break and then you have to reconfigure them and reteach them. I'm glad you said that. And so you're scaling now. So let's talk about home service VA. So you tell us what you specialize in with that. Hey friend, a quick break to ask you to please go to livebrightshow.com to be added to my email list. Here's the thing. I hate email, so I pretty much guarantee you're not going to receive anything excessive. Only important things like when I have new options in my coaching program, offer free challenges, new courses, release a new pod, or perhaps an occasional biz life tip. That's livebrightshow.com. Now back to the pod.
So here's what we specialize in. We really are good at figuring out what people need, first of all, by talking to them, but also just we've created a lot of assessments. I would say we're an emotionally intelligent company. So we're trying to, I know I just made that up, but maybe I'll write that on my website.
Do it. I like it. That attracts me. I'm going to hire you now.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, we're trying to create long-term sustainable relationships. And to do that, we charge more than other companies because we want the back-end support. We want to pay more to a virtual assistant because the turnover rate in the industry is very high. And so we're basically trying to create a new type of company that I have not seen exist. And it's actually very hard to do this because we want to take care of VAs and we want them to not just be a human robot, right?
Right.
And so we have to train both of them to work together well. And I've created a lot of systems that are very unique to us, and I haven't named them, so we'll call them the trust framework because everything has to be a framework. And
you heard it here first, everybody, the trust framework.
Yeah, nobody else has ever had that before. So,
right.
But like there are 5 systems in our company that really keep people on track. And if they use them the way that we tell them to, it really works. We can see quickly whether it's a good match. We don't promise people that their first match is going to be the right match because people are imperfect. We're dealing with humans. And even with all the work we do, all the vetting we do, you might be the wrong communication match. Like again, will throw my husband under the bus. He's used to it. He and I both speak English, American English. He speaks male American English. I speak female American English. I want to be like this with him, and somehow we're like this in our communication. We've been married a long time, so that's not like us.
For people who are listening, she just gestured that she wants to be like connected, like nose to nose, on the same page, but they're kind of just missing each other, like in the air, right? At times, obviously not always, but
not all the times, but often it feels like I'm saying words that you would understand, and somehow he doesn't hear them the same way. And this is common. But what we don't think about is we can have those relationships and work with people. And the kinds of clients we end up working with are that extreme ownership client who's like, I just have to do better. I just have to message differently. And the truth is that sometimes it's not going to work and it's going to feel painful. And so I want to figure out quickly, is it going to work? So we have systems that really quickly tell them, if they follow them, and tell us, yes, this is going to work or no. Because if they keep that VA too long, we don't know after a while if it's like the VA isn't the right VA or if they're not skilled. It's hard to tell after a while. So yeah, we've created a lot of things that help people to quickly adapt. And what I will say is I love working with purpose-driven entrepreneurs, especially the givers of this world. I feel like a lot of times, especially women, like we are handling and carrying the weight of everything on our shoulders, the emotions, the families, like all the things. And especially if you're an eldest daughter, then you've got more things and, more things. And also the business and the employees. So I love matching people with an executive assistant. I call mine the melody manager because she really manages my life. And she's not here. She's sick yesterday and today. And it's like, I don't even know how to live without her. She's done such a good job.
That's amazing. So you love doing the executive assistants in particular.
I love that. We do general assistance for people who have like a cleaning company. It's built for home service businesses, but it actually works for anybody because we've done all sorts of different businesses, coaching, all sorts. And when it's the right person, it's magic. When it's like somebody who comes in and it's really, really good. But I never promise that we are perfect. We have a great success rate and it's not perfect, but we always try. Like no matter what,
Yeah.
we're going to try, we're going to make it work. It's just going to take some time sometimes, but usually not. Usually we can get it on the first match.
That's amazing because a lot of people, I mean, if you just think about a virtual assistant, this is a human being we are talking about that we are
Yes.
adding to our life or to our business or whatever, our business life to help
Yeah.
us run, manage things. And, we go through extensive interview processes. We often churn through people whether it's field technicians or people in the office because they are not the right fit. It's just how it
Yes.
is, right? So it's
Yeah.
not going to be any different with somebody virtually, except maybe you have a higher success rate because you probably a lot more careful vetting than a lot of people do in their offices, actually.
I think we do. I've learned a lot through the past, like we've vetted thousands of people at this point. I mean, people, it's like art and science and magic, and I don't think we'll ever know the true formula, but I'm really excited about the latest. I just created with my team a really great hiring funnel that's different than all the other. I'm very AI forward right now, and I'm looking in the future, what are people going to be doing with recruitment? How are they going to be able to beat the system? Like they could already beat the system right now, just the way we do things. And what can I do to really understand people? I just want to understand people. Not everybody is going to be successful as an executive assistant or a general assistant, but I don't do it the same way that a lot of other companies do. We really want to figure out who people are, and are they going to be the right matches? Because not everybody is the right match for our companies. And I will say, this is the first time in my life where it is a service business, but I've always been great with employees in my home service businesses. And this is a totally different thing because it's a different kind of work and it's culturally different. And that's a challenge. My co-founder, Dean, the reason why I co-founded the company with her was because I know I've traveled enough, I've lived in other places, I know what I don't know, and I will never fully understand culture. And Filipinos are very American-like on the surface, but they're not. And so having that background, we can coach our clients better. It's kind of like we try to offer invisible net behind them that they don't know is there, but we're always checking in with their assistant and coaching them and trying to train them more. So yeah, but it's a lot. It's not easy work, I will say that.
No, it doesn't sound it. I mean, so is your co-founder in the Philippines?
Yeah, Dean is in the
Okay.
Philippines.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't realize you had a co-founder. That's awesome. Okay, so I
know
have
that.
so many more questions. How did you end up? You said you were helping people out for free, and your coach was like, "Yeah, you
Yeah.
need to just do this." So can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because that's definitely a change from providing home services in the variety of ways that you did to now you're
Yeah.
providing a higher level. So could you talk about that a little bit?
I've always been really into intercultural communication. I lived in Morocco when I was, just out of my teen years. I fell in love with the chaos of that country because I'm super ADD. And now I recognize like
You
we are,
too?
yeah. Well, I feel like I didn't mention that that's kind of what we specialize, but I built our whole system in home service VA for people like us because anybody who's not like us can blast through our system, but I made it so that it was easy for people like us to be able to be successful in the system.
I
Um,
like it.
Very important to me because, I wasn't diagnosed till I was 30 and it really changed my life to understand. So I've really learned about culture. I really studied how the brain works, things like that. And I just have always understood that I'm good with people for the most part.
Hmm.
And so, which is good and bad. I think you understand, like, when you give the benefit of the doubt to people, it can be hard. Sometimes you get hurt, but
Hmm.
I feel like it's a skill that's a good skill to have. And so I started just helping people. I had worked with other VAs in the past, virtual assistants, but as like part-time or they're doing project based basically.
Hmm.
But Dean was my first full-time assistant. And what happened was like, I didn't even know what she could do for me. My coach again had, been like, you got to get a full-time person. I had office people, by the way, but I felt like I was constantly distracted when somebody's in my office. That's actually why I wanted somebody virtually. And she ended up coming on. I hired her for 20 hours a week in the beginning. And then within like 3 weeks, she was working 50 hours a week because I saw very quickly, because first of all, we got each other, like we understood each other. It was a good match. And she could listen to me and get from our conversations what actually, like she could get me, if that makes sense.
Oh, that does. I mean, in theory, it makes sense. Like that's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's hard sometimes,
It's
especially when
really hard. Yeah.
I'm a sparkly brained entrepreneur. Really, what I'm describing is my ADD, but it's
Right.
like I call it sparkly.
I
But
like it.
it's hard because I'll go on a journey with my words outside of my mouth, not in my head. And
Uh-huh.
it's hard sometimes for certain types of people to hold on to the trail and get to the end. And she was always able to do that. So um, taught us a lot of lessons. When I sold the window cleaning company, I wasn't working with Dean anymore. And my coach had said, start this company, and I was considering it. And so I thought, you know what, it would be fun to do it with Dean. Why not?
Huh. That's amazing. And now you work with hundreds of companies.
Yes, we do.
Congratulations. That's in just a few years. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been an amazing experience. And it's also sometimes painful because I really, really want to do our best all the time for people. And we can't always, like, just
You
like with,
can't. It's just,
I
yeah.
know, but it's
Un-
hard sometimes. So
Well, I think that for most people, at least business owners, which is great because you work with other business owners, that
yeah.
they get that. Like, or we get
Yeah.
that, it's like, no, we're trying. Okay, we just failed again. We're trying,
Yeah,
so we get that. So I feel like that's probably a leg up in certain ways.
it is. And I try to be honest. I feel like that's part of the thing that works for us is I'm not overselling. I probably undersell and I shouldn't do that either, but I'm trying to say like we are going to do everything we can. We're really good at this. But also, if it doesn't work right away, just trust that we are going to have your back and we'll do whatever we can. So,
Right. That's great. So I'm going to pivot slightly here and ask you, I want to ask you a little bit about like you're a serial entrepreneur. You're also a mom, a wife, you've got a busy life, you've got a lot going on.
yeah.
Where do you find joy every single day? How do you do that?
Mm. Do I find joy every single day is the question. I try.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I would say it's easier for me in the summer to find joy, and spring, summer, fall is easy because I can go on a bike ride. That brings me great joy. Um,
Ah,
and I try to do that every single day. I also have a tent that's permanently installed on my deck in my backyard, and it's glamping though because I do have a futon inside of it. But I
nice.
love sleeping outside and just hearing, we have a beautiful field and water behind us, and so I just love hearing nature. It grounds me. And then, my kids are a little older. They're a lot older. They're 15 and 25. So I don't have the young kids anymore. I had my daughter, like I grew up with my daughter. So that was like a
Yeah.
different experience than what my son, but I just enjoy spending time with him because I know it goes really fast. And if I have time with my daughter too, that makes me happy. And then hanging out with my husband sometimes also makes me happy. So there's a lot of hobbies I like to do that I don't always get to do. I will say that. So I have a woodworking shop, barely ever in it. So that's not good, but I intend to make lots of things for Christmas. That's my saying it out loud.
I'll get you my address.
Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so I can get a gift, obviously,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
No, I think that's a real challenge that a lot of entrepreneurs in particular have a hard time balancing. And I was just on a call yesterday with my coach, actually. She's very irreverent and funny, which is one of the reasons I like to work with her. She's also brilliant in a lot of other things, but she's like, it gets to be fun. Like, and I think that a lot of us in
Hmm.
business, what?
Yes, I say business should be fun.
Right. Sometimes people get weighed down by the seriousness of business because,
Yes.
of course, it's our livelihood too,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so I think we have to be a lot more intentional as business owners too, because our brains don't turn off at 5 o'clock when we're done with our job. We're not clocking out, like really probably
No.
ever. I mean, we can take breaks, obviously, but it's a part of our identity in our life. I'm like really nice.
Nice to myself, way more nice than I used to be. So I almost feel lazy at times because I grew up with workaholic parents who are like, you got to work hard to be successful, that whole mentality of our age
Mhm.
group. And I mean, that's obviously not true. I always say, or else like farmers would be rich right now if that was the truth.
Right.
But learning how to just release my brain has been very hard. And also when I can do it, it's so rewarding. Next week, I'm going to a camp called Camp Clockwork, which is
Oh, with
a-
Adrian Dort and Mike
yes,
McAllowitz and
yes. And I'm so excited because I've done it camps like that before. It's what my brain needs to shut off. And that's the whole
mm,
point of the camp, right? It's to play. It's to learn to play, which seems like is antithetical the word? I shouldn't use the big words.
yeah,
The opposite,
antithetical.
yeah, the opposite of what we think it should be. But I am at my best when my brain is sparkly and I'm visioning, and most of us
Totally.
are, but we don't allow ourselves sometimes to get out of the weeds. So that's my constant battle, is staying out of the weeds. It works only a quarter of the time.
Well, good for you. And I looked at that camp. That looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. That looks
I'll
amazing.
tell
I'll have to
you,
hear
I'm
about it. Yeah.
so excited.
Yeah. I think that's great. With my clients, my coaching clients, I have a daily practice, and it's called the Daily Shine Protocol. I won't go into all that, but the S for shine is for space. And so it's actually taking space every single day to do that brain relax and get out of our heads and get out of the weeds, because so much more comes out of that if we can do that. Right. So, but
Absolutely.
it's a practice. It's a practice. So,
It
yeah.
is probably a lifelong
Yeah.
practice. Yeah.
It is. And that's okay. Most things are. But listen, this has been amazing. And we are almost out of time. So before I wrap
Dude.
up, let me just ask you, and we'll put it in the show notes, but where can people find you if they want to find you, Mel?
Well, I am an elderly lady, so on Facebook, of course. And for people who are watching, I'm 48. I'm not an elderly lady, but no, the joke is that people of our age are on Facebook. So it's Melody
Mhm.
S. Edwards. Also, you can go to homeserviceva.com. That's another place to find us. And for my personal website, it's melodythings.com, and that's where all my things live.
I love that. I was checking that out actually. It's a really fun website and you've got so many things, Melody.
Too
Like
many
it's
things. But that's
lots
my
of them.
way to remember, like it's for me mostly to remember all my things so that I can tell
Uh,
people, oh, just go to the website so that the things
I
are there.
love it. All right. Well, let's wrap up. So I'm going to do a little fun rapid fire. I hope it's fun rapid fire questioning. The only rule is that if you don't want to answer, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't want to answer, you just say skip and we go on to the
Okay,
next one. Sound
I'm on.
good? All right.
Perfect.
Fantastic. So I'll start out light. What's your favorite pizza?
Pepperoni.
Okay. Favorite movie or TV show right now?
Oh, nobody wants this.
Oh my God. So fun, right?
Oh, good.
So,
I
so
just
fun.
ended it yesterday.
I think I have one more.
Oh,
Okay, next big vacay spot.
I'll be in the Philippines in December.
Okay, good. Work and fun.
It's going to be fun and work, but fun.
Okay, fun and work. Work. We need a new word for that. Okay. Your favorite Sunday activity. You've got all kinds of hobbies, and you're like, I'm just gonna do
Bike riding.
book writing,
Bike riding.
bike
But I
riding.
have an electric bike, so it's more fun than normal because it gets me up. It's like I'm a
I
kid
like
again.
it.
Yeah.
That's very fun. Okay. This is a little would you rather. Would you rather spend a week exploring under the sea in a really nice submarine under the sea or buzzing around space?
I think space.
Okay. Yeah, me too. Would you rather be a human bear just covered in hair all the time, like permanently, or hot all the time?
Oh Lord. I have to say I experience heat a lot right now, so I'll go with that. I can't imagine being covered in hair all the time.
Oh, well, because you're like a late 40s woman. Like,
Yes.
right.
During
I hear you.
menopause.
I
Yeah.
hear you, sister. I hear you. All right. And last question. Would you rather have a permanent mustache that you cannot shave
Okay.
or hair that grows 10 inches every single night?
Oh, this is the hardest one. But can I cut the hair?
Yeah, you get to cut the hair.
Oh, then yeah, I'll go for the hair I can cut.
Okay. All right. And this is a serious question. I've got 2 serious questions. Any advice to younger you that you'd
Oh
give?
man, just get through the fear. Don't even think about it. Don't overthink it. Just do it. Whatever it is, just do it.
Just do it. I love that because I think the fear holds so many people back. That's
Yeah.
great advice. And last question, this kick-ass life that you've got, this badass, bright life you've got, do you think you have it more by design or by luck?
I will say, I think it's by design, but also by luck. Somehow I understand, or maybe it's my stubbornness that I just want more. And I don't think everybody can have that, because I don't want people to think that it's easy. But I want to say that I think it's a bit of luck. And yeah, I don't know. That's the hardest question of all.
Thanks for trying. Skip. I mean, I don't know.
I know. I was already into it and I couldn't figure it out.
No, it's good. It is a really hard one. I'm with you on that. I feel incredibly lucky in terms
Yes.
of who I was born
Yes.
to, like all of that stuff.
Yes.
But I also am very intentional about the life that I'm
Yes.
building, right? For me, it's kind of a
Agreed.
combination. Yeah.
It is.
Well, there you have it. Thank you, Mel, for being on the show. This was a lot of fun. Great guest on the Live Bright show. Find Mel on all of her handles. And until next time, have a great day.
And that's it for today. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Live Bright Show. If you enjoyed this pod, please go to livebrightshow.com to be in the know for new program offerings and podcast releases. Molly has more awesome guests and content coming your way, so you're going to want to be on that list. Also, just because you're still listening, it would be incredible if you could go ahead and subscribe to this podcast and provide the show with a 5-star review. You know how they help. Go forth, have fun, and live bright, friends.